Beep, beep, beep. Hello, this is
Pop It!
Pop It. We deconstruct.
Pop culture.
Yeah,
I'm Mia,
I'm Damien.
and we're gonna be your host.
Yep.
And today, at episode 1, we're gonna be talking mainly about the large consumerism and fast fashion on social media platforms.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about large consumerism?
Large consumerism. I think it could be good, but a lot of the times it feels a bit like companies are, cheating off of consumers.
True. But I also think that, especially on social media platforms, I feel like a lot of influencers really kind of promote or enhance the idea of like fast fashion or large consumerisms. Especially because now social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram have like enabled people to shop directly on their website, because there's this thing called TikTok Shop
What is
where
that?
it's essentially where influencers can link certain products towards their page. And it's kind of like Amazon in a sense, where you can create a list full of products, and if people put them in the cart and buy it, the influencers can get a certain commission out of that.
So is it like a separate app or is it like?
No, it's from the same app. Like on TikTok, you can do it, and so that like convenience, I think, really enhances and kind of like.
I feel like there's a sort of ethical issues with how convenient it is.
I mean, yeah, because it drives people to like buy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a whole, personally, I think social media's gone to the point where it does more harm than good.
I mean, yeah, true, but it's
know.
such a large part of our lives. I feel like it's so hard to like not go onto social media, especially when we're in a society now where a lot of new societal expectations are put onto like staying on trend. So there's these trends that come from like fashion or beauty that often a lot of influencers create these trends.
Yeah.
So like
It's all constructs of human desires. It's not real. Anyways.
I mean, I guess like a most recent example of a really big trend happening is like Labubu. I'm sure we've all heard of Labubu. It's this
Disgusting.
a toy that it's how do I say? It's basically created by Pop Mart and some other artist that had a partnership with Pop Mart and created these mystery boxes that had these weird looking creatures. And the whole gimmick of Labubu was that you don't know which design you got until you open the box, right?
Oh, so it's like, what do you call those? Those are like
It's like gacha boxes. That's what they're generally like called.
gacha boxes. The thing with gacha boxes is it's practically gambling, and it's so addictive because it's also a social event, right? I've seen so many people, they deliberately hang out just to get those gacha boxes.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's cute, but also that's how they get you to spend money on
But I also
unnecessary
think
stuff.
it's also really sad, especially from the artist point of view, because now their creation is now inherently tied towards this whole big thing about consumerism. Like Labubu is, if you were to say, a symbol of consumerism, because how big it is within how people spend and waste a lot of money on these boxes just to follow a certain trend.
Yeah, it really does show like the priority of current, let's say, society. I think it's more, in terms of demographic, I think it's more towards maybe people in between teens to 30, 40.
Yeah,
Labubu.
and also a large part of why like people in general buy like these things in order to stay on trend is because like influencers promote these products and are, I guess, also promoting like the fact that, oh, now they're popular, if you don't get them you'll like miss out on a lot of things. And like there's this phenomenon on social media right now, it's called Consumerism Final Boss.
Oh, that sounds hardcore.
Which is how people like describe certain influencers that like showcase a lot of large purchases in order to garner audience attention. Because you know how when you scroll on TikTok, whatever like catches your eye are often like a hook in, you know, the first 5 seconds. And a lot of them are centered around having like shopping hauls, unboxing hauls, where they purchase a lot of large like amounts of clothing, or like, let's say, Labubus and gacha boxes in order to show their audience like what they got. And how they present these things are almost, they try to give authenticity, and how it's like it's not, it's almost giving like genuine kind of like, yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of these on WeChat, and I think my For You page is a bit different from you, because I get a lot of these like entrepreneurs on Instagram and on TikTok. And the thing is, a lot of these people, they're basically just boosting or like trying to encourage consumerism, while like also providing like a sense of, I suppose, status in doing so. Like, for example, a few days back I saw a reel where it was this 18-year-old dude, or so he claims, 18-year-old, and he was just showing you like his stacks of money. It was like millions of money just stacked on his table, and he said, "Oh, you can do this too." And then he sells a course which costs like $30 a month. So they try to claim, they try to pretend to help you, but in reality they're really just trying to get your money.
Yeah, I think I've also seen some sort of reel where it was like students that were promoting how they got these really good grades. And at first you think, they're being genuine, they're being authentic with how they're going to give you advice, and then it slowly transitions into AI. Like those AI like advertisements. And I think the whole thing about how people don't necessarily disclose that they're advertising or promoting something also connects towards a really bigger idea of how on TikTok there's a lot of larger influencers who don't disclose actual paid promotions, and they're essentially lying to their audience about it because they're misleading. And then it's kind of like
they try to be authentic.
Yeah, they try to give, it's almost like they're presenting it as a genuine recommendation, but they're actually endorsing a product. And the FTC actually has like rules and like violations that you have to literally put in the brand that you're advertising for in your video. And often a lot of people like
don't
kind of hide it. So there's this pop-up on TikTok when you see a video. It's like their username and then the caption on the video. They deliberately hide the brand paid advertisement that you're supposed to put into your video to that area where the text covers it. And so, yeah.
They're technically still doing it, but it's just so unnoticeable that they can't, that the viewer probably won't even notice it.
And this has happened so many times. And there's this one influencer specifically. She's called Michaela Nogueira, and she's a beauty influencer, right?
Calling her out.
She's been in the business for a really long time, like a couple of years on TikTok, and she is like, she's done this so many times, and despite people constantly calling her out for it, she's always constantly like doing it, and people still trust her. So I think the whole idea of people are constantly trying to see authenticity as their like number one, why should we follow you? What's your value to us? I think authenticity is really the number one kind of decision towards the value towards people, because like, why should your opinion on a beauty product be valuable to us if you're not authentic.
I have personally fallen for one of those advertisements. It's an AI model that they claim would help you study better, which I see how that could work for some people. But here's the thing, in their advertisement, it's so vague. They would be like, oh, how I did this? Turbo AI. And because I've been shown so many times, even though I know it's probably like fake, eventually I gave into it because I was exposed to it so often. You know that experiment where you tell a child a lie at the beginning, and then they go into a different room and they tell another person tell them it's true, even though they know it's a lie, and just keep exposing them to it over the course of like a week. And eventually they accept it as the truth, even though deep down they know it's false. That's what's happening with a lot of people that have fallen, including me. That's what I think. AI plays a big part.
Yeah, I also think the large upcoming consumerism of AI is kind of really damaging towards the whole humans, and also kind of like the idea that now AI can replicate essentially anything. It can create images, it can, potentially take jobs in the future. But also, I think there's this really big argument towards the consumerism of AI to create art, because when AI creates art, it's also essentially taking like other artists' art in order to, grow its algorithm, which is inherently bad because it's essentially stealing someone's art for the sake of creating, kind of like a replica. And there's this whole like debate on how, using AI to make art is making like art more accessible to people. But I don't think that's necessarily true, because to make art, you don't necessarily need like fancy like materials or anything. You need skill. And I feel like a lot of people use that excuse in order to like dismiss the skill it takes to create art.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ. It is true that it takes a lot of skills, and that is a big part of art. But I think art is mainly about the meaning behind certain things. AI, I think it's like you said, it's terrible if you're just presenting an AI generated image and calling it art and displaying and making people pay for it, to watch this art. But if it's, let's say, from more of a meta perspective, like instead of AI being the art, we are the one that's showing the art. So we as a consumer pay and we look at these art. We are part of the exhibition. It is not the art inherently itself that's giving the meaning. It is the fact that we are paying for it. Maybe if an artist is doing that, I think it's fine. But I think they have to make it a bit more explicit, because a lot of people would just,
they would brand AI art as their own, like they created it. Yeah, I get that point. But I also think now people are being more aware towards AI use and how like bad it is, because people often call out as soon as some creator or some person online would admit to being like using AI for something. I think a lot of people would, drive away that person from their lives.
And the fact that I don't really like the idea of AI being so integrated in our life.
Well, I do agree that AI is very useful in some ways, especially the medical industry, with a lot of technological advancements that are fueled from AI. I think the creative industry, like AI is really damaging too.
Yeah, like recently they've used an AI model to create possible coatings for bacteriophages, and they created more than 300 versions. I think 16 or 18 of them was selected, and only a few was able to be synthesized. And I think that's great, because then you could use those to maybe cure other diseases or sickness. But in terms of like integrating it with our life, I just think it's unnecessary. Like those meta glasses, have you seen? I guess it's kind of convenient, but it's because it's convenient that's damaging ourselves. Like we lose the skill of being able to have like a good sense of direction. We lose the ability to be with ourselves. We can, like so many people can't even sit with themselves in silence or be bored for a bit. They have to scroll on Instagram, they have to listen to music, they have to watch YouTube, they have to distract themselves so much that they don't have time for themselves to just be alive and be present. And I think that is such an important part of living, where you can just have your own thoughts, evaluate your own thoughts, and you know, it's also just boredom is it's honestly such a positive thing to have, even though it feels bad, because that's the time where you truly have all of the time in the world and all of the imagination that could possibly, you know, be there to have creative ideas, have, you know, a reflection on who you want to be, and you know, those type of things.
Yeah, I do agree how, despite how connected we are through social media, we're not necessarily really connected towards, you know, actual people in real life.
Yeah.
And I would like to talk more about the meta thing, because I have a really good example of how, like, meta and AI can really, you know, damage a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Because there's this girl on Instagram, and she has gotten really popular recently because of her appearance being really almost like a Victorian like person from that era. Like she really looks like it. Yeah.
Is it like a hairstyle? Is it like a dressing? Or
no, she looks like it. Like if you compare her with a Victorian era like photo, she looks exactly like that. And so a lot of people have gotten like really inspired to draw her as a Victorian era, like, you know, person. I have seen
some of her stuff. I'll try to link that in the description. Yes, go on.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are creating art like with her, right? And while that's all great and all, there's been recent news where she partnered with Meta and AI in order to AI generate like more drawings and photos of her, and that immediately got her following to unfollow her, because you know the whole thing about AI stealing art, and now everyone's like, oh, we shouldn't draw her anymore, which I think is a good call, but you know, it's like the whole exposure to AI is so, it's like a red flag in the art community now.
Yeah, I think this is quite, it's again, it's consumerism. Like they want to mass produce all these drawings, and it's just, it's kind of, we've gotten so lazy as a society. We want everything to be boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, like,
and none of the hard work.
We can't even like handwrite, like students, the constant use of AI for students. We can't even write an essay by ourselves. And I think that like decrease in textual like knowledge and kind of like common comprehension in writing, I think that's like really decreasing with the new generation because of how prevalent AI is now in society.
Like as I am speaking right now, there's a child maybe a 10 meter in front of me that has headphones and is just holding a phone, watching a video that's, you know, 5 centimeters away from his face, and it's not exaggerating. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. So I think it's quite worrying for future generations and how they're going to grow up and have all of those important intellectuals and cognitive skills, you know, to not have to depend on AI that much. Because I think we've grown up in such a weird space in human history where we went from, when we were born, the first iPhone was born. But most of us, I'm sure we didn't have like, you know, the access to it until quite later on, like 15-ish. And know, it's just a bit weird having snippets of, you know, being so bored with myself that I have to make origami swords, to, I don't know, being addicted to Instagram.
Yeah, I think we're like, kids nowadays tend to really prefer high kind of visual content.
High dopamine.
Yeah,
Right.
there's like a lot going on. It's like they're bored with things that are rather slow. They want more fast-paced content. And I think that's really decreasing the attention span of our generation in a really bad way.
And also like what I said about creativity and boredom. If a child does not have boredom, most likely they wouldn't do something creative to try to cure that boredom. And I think that's what we're playgrounds, right? You're bored, you go to a playground, you imagine all this scenario to make it fun, to make it interesting, and to have new ideas, right? That's how I think people become, you know, that's how kids learn to have different skills, right? As a child, I was so bored. I had no iPad, I had an iPad, but I had no phone, no nothing, and I had to beg for my brother to give me the iPad. And I remember I would be bored while he has the iPad, and I'd try to make stuff that I've seen on TV, one of which was an Assassin's Creed extendable blade. I really wanted one, but I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources. So I made one with a bunch of popsicle sticks. And during the process of that, I remember actively thinking, wow, I could be so capable of, I'm so capable of just building whatever I want. You know, this is something that I as a child could do. And that have taught me later on in life that, you know, I lost my train of thoughts. That taught me later on in life that to be creative, you have to be bored. And you have to trust yourself to bring new ideas.
Yeah, I think overall, AI consumption and social media consumption has really negatively impacted our new generation in terms of growing up and learning critical skills and, you know, like the values and morals of, you know, not needing high stimulus in order to be entertained, but just kind of appreciating the little things in life. I think we like lack a lot of that currently with newer generations.
Should we talk about brain rot, or should we save that for a different?
I mean, I think brain rot's really connected towards this because it also connects to AI, where there's this, I wouldn't say recent trend, but there was an ongoing trend where there were these AI generated mascots. These were called Italian brain rot.
I personally know quite a few.
Where they were kind of like, how do I say, how do I describe even Italian brain rot?
I think Italian brain rot, in a nutshell, is it's a bunch of teenagers that collectively agreed something random is funny. Like if one of them, tra-la-lea, tra-la-la, is literally just a shark with shoes. And because it's been posted online and it's gained such viewership, people just agree that it's funny, right? And that's that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, brain rot, literally, I think I've seen a research quite recently where the consumption of brain rot and fast-paced, instant gratification content have increased the chance of dementia to the age of 30 years old, I think. Roughly around 30 years old. Which is quite alarming. Especially, I think the tests that are done are on people who didn't even have that much exposure, in comparison to children nowadays who are literally glued to their screens 24/7.
Yeah, and I also think I want to connect back to an earlier point of how the whole consumerism and how following trends can be very kind of over the top and very exaggerated. Because, I mean, consumerism can also be political. There's a whole thing about political consumerism and how what you purchase and what you support is indirectly reflecting your morals and your values towards a certain thing. Because I don't know if people know this, but recently there was the Starbucks red cup rebellion, and there was a union strike where I think the Starbucks worker labor union was having a strike over Starbucks, where people would walk out of their jobs and not show up because Starbucks refused to sign a fair contract with them because they were violating certain labor practices, and they were very short-staffed, and they weren't like resolving any of those problems, and some employees were very overpaid. And so there's this whole political event, but at the same time Starbucks released this new like bear cup in relation towards the Christmas holidays, and this bear cup went absolutely viral on TikTok, and everybody wanted it, and despite the current events that were happening with employees like boycotting Starbucks, and also other people like consumers of Starbucks boycotting in support of the labor union, these people were lining up. I'm not even joking when I say people were lining up at 4 or 5 a.m. before the Starbucks even opened
For a cup.
for a stupid little cup that doesn't even fit in a cup holder. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, everyone was raging about this cup. Okay, so to just put it in perspective, this cup was like $30 US originally. Right?
That's expensive.
And people were buying them out of stock because in each Starbucks location, I don't know if this was a like tactic from Starbucks, like a promotional tactic to create some sense of urgency to people, but they only limited every single store to 1 to 3 cups in each store, and everyone wanted.
Hong Kong.
No, I think this was more prevalent in the US, not in Hong Kong for sure.
Sad. I would have got to know.
No, but people were lining up super early in the morning, buying all of the stock. Like, the first person in line bought all the cups and would resell them for thousands of dollars. Originally, this was $30 USD. They were selling them to thousands of dollars of USD to people online, and people were buying it, which is crazy to me. And this cup, when I say this cup can be easily bought at a Walmart or just bought online for eBay for like 5-10 USD, like,
it's probably not even made in the America.
Yeah, the only difference this cup has was that it had a Starbucks logo on it.
It's probably made by some poor children in China or Vietnam.
And the fact that people were, going out, getting this, inherently supporting Starbucks just to buy this cup, despite the political, situation that Starbucks was in right now, I think that really says a lot about how people, their primary goal is to stay on trend, not to actually, be more aware about the political issues that happen in society and how that actually is connected to them in some way. Like, their actions are fueling this political movement.
Yeah, I think a lot of the consumers are not aware of their power. Like, the consumers are not very aware with their purchase, and that's kind of similar to what we talked previously, where we've gotten so distracted, right? Red Cup Rebellion, what was it? Red Cup?
Yeah, Red Cup Rebellion.
The Red Cup Rebellion was happening, and Starbucks just decides to distract the people with a bear cup, and that gets them even more money, rather than actually solving the issue, which is on the grand scale of things, a bit more important than making more money, because you can't do much with money.
And yeah, even besides the Red Cup Rebellion, which if it's like recent, I understand why people wouldn't necessarily be aware or understand that this is happening right now. But there's also a bigger issue with Starbucks of being a supporter of Israel, you know, between the whole Palestinian and Israeli like war happening. You know, I think a lot of people are aware of that now because of how prevalent it's been on TikTok for a couple months. Yet people are still supporting Starbucks before, like they're supporting so many brands that are inherently supporting Israeli.
I think it should be mandatory for people to have like to pass like a certain test or like a awareness test of, you know, their consuming behavior before they could consume. I think that's, you know, I think that would be good. But then obviously it's a
And I also
theoretical
think
issues.
the entitlement that people hold because of their actions, they kind of like categorize their actions as staying on trend, and thus they have more power than other people. I think that entitlement is also way over the top, because some people that missed out on these Red Bear cups because they were very understocked in every location were blaming Starbucks employees for keeping the cups to themselves, like not letting customers buy them for some reason. And then there's a lot of videos out there that are like between Starbucks employees and the people trying to buy the Bear cups arguing because there just weren't enough, you know. So it's like the entitlement that inherently points fingers and blames innocent people, I think is very, very bad.
Yeah, like the idea of staying on trend or associating an actions to something positive or something that's, you know, that people want, that does a lot of harm. And yeah, and I'm getting quite sleepy. It's 9:30. Well,
I think that's the end towards our deconstruction of
our yap session.
of
Consumerism. Well,
so I hope we'll see you guys next time, and I hope you guys enjoyed our very first Rocky episode.
yeah, this is filmed in a mall. I don't know if you can hear the Christmas music, but it's been very distracting. I should probably end this now, right? Yeah, it's going a bit overboard. 33 minutes. I wonder how offensive I could be, like, on the... Okay,